this was her friend. A few moments later, I received a phone call from Jamie, who is friends with Heather Sitko. This is the person whose house she went to. Remember how she said she went to a cousin's house after? She went to the boy's cousin's house, the mom's cousin's house, and that was who called the police for her and said that she had been raped. Remember that? Well, turns out that was just a friend. That's whose house she went and stayed at. I received a phone call from Jamie, who is friends with Heather Sitko. According to Jamie, Heather had come to her house the night of the incident. According to Jamie, Heather was under the influence of clonazepam, which is Klonopin, in her opinion. So that's what this friend says. According to Jamie, Heather was under the influence of clonazepam, in her opinion. Also, according to Jamie, Heather made no statement as what to happened other than she did not remember. Now, that's weird because Jamie described Heather as being out of it. I mean, I guess I would act a little out of it too after I just got caught raping a minor, because you were in it enough to be able to run away. You weren't and drive and make it there safely. You put on an act when you got to this house because you knew it was bad. Jamie described Heather as being out of it. Jamie told me she'd seen text on Heather's cell phone from blank in reference to the clonazepam that Heather had taken. According to Jamie, blank had given the clonazepam to Heather. So we don't know who it was. And just stand by me. Yes, y'all, this is not about Gabby right now. We're talking about something else. Please listen to the mods. We will interview Gabby on another day. That will come. On 10/2/14 at approximately 10:36 a.m., I received another phone call from Jamie Kayl1e. Kayl1e told me if Heather was going to claim that she was raped by the minor, that she would not support her because the minor would not do this. According to Kayl1e, if anything sexual would have happened, Heather would have been the one who brought it on herself. I asked Jamie if she heard if that was what Heather was going to state, and she told me she had not heard anything, but she believed Heather would potentially try to play the victim in this incident. That's her friend. That's her friend that supposedly called the police. That's her friend. That friend called the police. That's who told them. This one right here, this specific one. This is the one who told the police, remember? Except she specifically said that ain't no way in hell that's what happened, and that she's trying to play the victim, just like she's trying to play the victim now. But also, does anyone else remember the fact that she specifically said she had never called it grape until the night of my interview with her? Because she didn't see it as that. Well, yeah, you didn't see it as that because it was you that did it, and you didn't want to say that that's what happened, that you raped a minor. That is the reality, girl. But you did use the word grape. You specifically told your mother that you were raped by the minor. And then I definitely think you told your friend that, and that's why she said that to police. But your friend also didn't want to, mess things up with you or really tamper with this. Even if you block someone, you can still see their comments in the live. Yes. So remember, she was the hero. She didn't want this to happen to the child. He was a good kid. He was such a good kid. And she just, from the moment it happened, 3 days after, she walked into that police station and she said, "It was me. It was me." Nobody wants anything to happen to her except she doesn't need to be on an app where there's other minors. And she just needs to stop lying. Take accountability for what you did. You did this. It's right here. It's in writing. You came on and you lied. You had an opportunity. You have a responsibility when you have a platform. There is no place for someone who committed a crime against a child on the internet. It's too dangerous for that to be a thing. You should not have a position of power. You should not, because it's dangerous. I'm sorry. That is just what I believe. It's unfortunate that this had to be this way, but no. Regina, I'm not getting on to you. I'm just explaining. Like, I get it, because there is a thing that's like, okay, y'all, this was 10 years ago. What do you want to happen? Like, what? I was charged with battery and it's over with. But the reality is you are on here calling other mothers scum, who honestly, compared to you, they're not. Compared to you, you make them look like good mothers, because this is bad, and you're still lying about it. You're still lying. And it's just, you bring down the whole thing we're trying to do when we're talking about these things. Like when we're talking about being a stepmother who's for their kids and supports their kids, and then you're actively keeping those kids and alienating them from their mother and telling people and them that their mother abandoned them when she was deployed, a mandatory service. That's crazy work. That is dangerous to share stuff when you have 19K people following you and you're saying stuff like that. That makes us look bad. And then you go on and you talk about other mothers and you want to hold them accountable. Well, you have to be held accountable. You posted today and you said, I hold people accountable for what they're doing now. This was 10 years ago. Girl, it doesn't matter when it's a crime against a child. If this was a man, people would end them. They would never be able to get back on this app. That's crazy to think. A crime against a child, you should not have even gotten a plea deal for this. That should not be an option when you do something against a child. That should never be an option. You should always have to be on the registry. There is no excuse for it. Not in 2014. We were way advanced. We were way more advanced at this point. There was no educated, all of the above. There was no reason for you to think that that was acceptable. You changed that boy's life forever that night. I don't care if you were on Klonopin, whatever. You changed that boy's life forever. And you looked me in the eyes and you said, you regret nothing. And I truly believe that you regret nothing in this. You just thought no one would ever know the truth. You didn't think, you thought because this wasn't online, they wouldn't be able to get it. That's the reality. You played the hero. You played Batman when you were the Joker. Like, it's just crazy. Oh no, she said, we're going to rewatch the interview. She absolutely said she don't regret it. Don't worry. Whew. On 10 and then ran for months. I am looking into the foster care incident. I am, because if she was on here talking about, it's the same thing as Ash Trevino Roaches, Kayl1e. How dare y'all get on here and talk about other mothers? And I don't like Bree and I don't like Ruby. I'm going to call her Ruby so y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't like them. I think they definitely make a lot of mistakes. However, pot calling the kettle black, like it don't make no damn sense. You're being a hypocrite. If you injured your child, we're going to find out. And you have no right to talk about anyone else. You just don't. That should have never been your damn platform. You should have made a platform about being a PDF and how you've reformed or some shit. I don't know, but this wasn't it, girl. Wasn't it, Chief? Wasn't it? On 10/2/14, I was contacted by Detective Levitt in reference to assisting him with this case. Detective Levitt, so there was a detective on this case, told me that during the course of this investigation, he had contact with a female subject identified as blank. Detective Levitt told me that a cell phone belonging to blank contained text messages in this case, which were evidentiary value. Detective Levitt showed me a consent to search form that he had obtained, which had been signed by blank, allowing me to extract information from the phone. Detective Levitt told me that he was concerned only with the text messages sent to and from number, I won't dox your phone number, to blank's phone, to the minor's phone, I think. Or no, to her phone. I don't know. They're all blanked out, so I really don't know. I guess if it says the messages, we'll know. I then connected the phone to the laptop computer running the Lantern forensic program. I used the Lantern program to extract information from the phone. After all the information had been extracted, I was able to search through Nobody wants anything from you. Ignore them. If anybody else attacks the sister, you're getting muted. I'm just letting you know. Mods, you have my permission. Mute anyone that attacks Regina. The sister didn't do anything. This is the first time she's hearing it. Leave her alone. She's also young as well, so this is probably traumatizing to her as well. I was able to search through the text messages and locate 148 messages, this phone and suspect's phone number of this phone and the suspect's phone number. Sorry, that says the number again. I used the Lantern software to prepare an electronic report which showed all of these messages, including their dates and times, as well as their sent or seen status. All of that information on the report was placed into a PDF format and was electronically attached to this incident. After I had finished extracting information from the phone, it was returned to Detective Levitt. Detective Levitt was also given a copy of the Lantern report for his investigation. Okay, so this is the messages with the cousin that lives with the minor and the mother. This is 148 text messages between them. So this is what we read yesterday. This is her in her own words. So we saw this one yesterday. On 10/2/14, I was able to make contact with blank to gain permission from her to download the text between her and Sitco, specifically the ones on the morning of 6/20/14. So this is the day of what happened, the incident. Blank's phone was currently at Blank's phone was currently at adult mental health. Blank signed a consent form giving me permission to conduct the search. Blank also made arrangements for me to pick up her phone. I did and delivered it to Corporal whatever, cannot say that last name, who conducted a forensic download of the text. The following texts are all the morning of 6/20/14 between blank and Sitco. 5:25 a.m. Talk to your mom, Heather. Please. Things may calm down. I don't know, but please think about Heather's son. 5:25 a.m. I'm sorry you're so confused. 5:26 a.m. Heather says, I don't want my parents involved in this. They'll hate me. I don't want my parents involved in this. They'll hate me. Why would they hate you? They'd hate you for being raped. That's crazy. 5:27 a.m. Sitco says, nothing even happened. I had my clothes on. He was the one with his pants down. By the time I got done contemplating this wasn't a good idea, blank walked in. The mother walked in. Let me repeat that for y'all. Nothing even happened. I had my clothes on. He was the one with his pants down. She blamed the minor. By the time, so she remembered this, even though she was completely knocked out. So it's really weird that you were completely knocked out, told the cops you didn't remember anything. You just remembered going to sleep, told your friend that you didn't know what the heck was going on. But this is very, very specific. Nothing even happened. I had my clothes on. He was the one with his pants down. By the time I got done contemplating, this wasn't a good idea. The mother walked in. By the time I got done contemplating, this wasn't a good idea. So you thought about it. Just turned out not to be the best idea. 5:28. Sitco says, I feel so horrible. I feel so fucking horrible. I don't know what I was about to think. She doesn't know what she was about to think, or she doesn't know why she did what she did. 6:43 a.m. Heather Sitco says, you guys, I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I don't know what came over me. And I'm hoping with time I get forgiveness. I take full responsibility and I'm begging from every inch of my soul that this doesn't get out. I will lose my son, my job, and my family will disown me, and the little reputation of being a good person that I have. So I want to make sure Regina heard that. You guys, I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I don't know what came over me, and I'm hoping with time I get forgiveness. I take full responsibility, and I'm begging from every inch of my soul that this doesn't get out. I will lose my son, my job, and my family will disown me and the little reputation of being a good person that I have. 6:45 a.m. Heather Sitka says, and I'm sorry for booking it like a bitch when I was about to get my ass whooped. I should have taken it like a champ, but I completely went into shock when I realized what was going on. So she went into shock, then got to her friend's house. Maybe that's why she was so confused, came up with this Klonopin story. 10:35 a.m., the cousin says, Heather, please stop. You're making things worse. There are several more texts throughout the day, but these are the ones of the most evidentiary value. On 10/14/2014, at approximately 1500 hours, Heather Sitko showed up at the Lewiston Police Department. 10/14. This happened on 6/20. She didn't want them to be able to, if she was, because they would have done a grape kit on her. And there would have been, a little bit of evidence. She said Hideout. She took Homebody Hideout very seriously. Yeah, she said a few days later, don't worry, we're going to watch the interview back and compare all of this. Yeah, they would have drug tested her. They would have rug tested her. That's what I'm saying. She can't pretend anymore. There is no pretending at this point. Like, there is no proof. You can say, but your word means nothing. Your word means nothing. You lied about everything. You lied about everything. I believe we'll find out. But even if they did a toxicology report 4 months later, what's that going to do? She had to go to the precinct. They told her they were going to detain her, which means arrest her if she did not and forcibly get the DNA. No proof because she ran and everyone knew the truth. Yeah. So Heather showed up at the police department. Detective Kayl1e escorted Sitko into the interview room number 2 while I made contact with her. Before I entered the room, Detective Kayl1e told me Sitko stated she was not going to make a statement and she had retained an attorney. Bro, you are fucking kidding me. I mean, do we really need to go further? Because that's it. She was not going to make a statement and she had retained her attorney. I looked through the monitor for the interview room and saw Heather had what appeared to be a telephone in her hand. I knew from previous statements that Heather had communicated with blank with her cell phone, with the number being, put a phone number. I had Detective Kayl1e call that number to confirm that it was the cell phone that Heather Sitko had in the interview room. Oh, they caught her. Oh, they tricked her up. They tricked her up. That's funny. They got you, girl. Oh, is it that skunk hunt person? If that's who it is, just block them. I don't know how they're in here. If it's skunk hunt, block them. So they caught her up. They needed to prove that the cell phone number was her cell phone, and then they wouldn't have needed a warrant at that point. So I looked through the monitor for the interview room and saw Heather had what appeared to be a telephone in her hand. I knew from previous statements that Heather had communicated with blank with her cell phone, with the number being, it says a number. I had Detective Kayl1e call that number to confirm that that was the cell phone that Heather Sitko had in the interview room. As Detective Kayl1e called, Heather Sitko attempted to answer her phone and then called Detective Kayl1e back shortly. Homebody blocked me the first time I ever commented on her TikTok about Gabby. Yep, busted. Y'all, I'm not going to keep rereading things. I need y'all to pay attention. I then entered the room and confirmed with Heather Sitko that she had retained an attorney and she was here to provide a DNA sample. I told Heather I was also going to be seizing her cellular phone. Based on the exigency, I don't even know if that's the right word, and the ability of Heather to delete information from her phone, I told her that I would seize it from her right now. Heather told me she was not going to allow me to do that, and she requested she contact her attorney. Bro, you are more than guilty. I allowed Heather to use the cell phone to call her attorney and request. He responded to the police department as per the DNA detention order allows. After Heather hung up the phone, I again told her I was seizing her phone. Heather gripped her phone tightly and I had to pry her fingers away from the phone. I seized it and removed it from the room. Heather did not make any complaints about being injured when I pried her fingers away from the phone. Okay, I'll reread that part again. I then entered the room and confirmed with Heather Sitko she had retained an attorney and she was here to provide a DNA sample. I told Heather I was also going to be seizing her cellular phone. Based on the exigency that the ability of Heather to delete information from her phone, I told her that I would seize it from her right now. Heather told me she was not going to allow me to do that and requested she contact her attorney. I allowed Heather to use the cell phone to call her attorney and request he respond to the police department as per the DNA detention order allows. After Heather hung up the phone, I again told her I was seizing her phone. Heather gripped her phone tightly and I had to pry her fingers away from the phone. I seized it and removed it from the room. Heather did not make any complaints about being injured when I pried her fingers away from the phone. Approximately 5 minutes later, Jonathan Haley arrived at the police department and was allowed into the interview room. Before we entered the interview room, Haley questioned me upon how I could remove the phone from her and search it. I told Hawley, I don't know. I had not searched it and I was going to apply for a warrant, but I had seized it. I told Hawley, due to the fact that she could easily wipe data from this phone, I was seizing it for those reasons. I then read the detainer to Sitko and Hawley. That must be her lawyer, I'm guessing. After reading her the detainer, I collected the DNA from the inside of her mouth. The swabs I collected were from the left cheek and gum line, and right cheek and gum line. The swabs were dried and later placed into the evidence. The iPhone that I seized from Sitko was placed into airplane mode and into evidence. I will be applying for a search warrant for access to this device. End of report. Thoughts? Oh, they can get everything. Even deleted stuff. They can even get your Snapchats. Yeah, no. I told her that she could admit to me that she could definitely admit to me that, you know, maybe she made a mistake. Yeah, her not wanting to give the phone up is, yeah. That makes me think that there was a history of something. Y'all, she just took the charge. Give her some grace. You're right. She did. Just took that charge. Why everybody's just complaining about it, man? She was the hero here. She said she did. She said she wouldn't do anything differently.